Hey guys, recently I've come out with a bunch of new theory videos for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Everything from a brand new weather system to the game, to returning items that people love and been clamoring for like the hookshot, to even the possible death of Princess Zelda. But in today's video I want to talk about some gameplay mechanics that could really affect everything we do in Tears of the Kingdom, and that's the possibility of using time travel. Not just as an item, but maybe a main mechanic that will affect everything you do in the game. Guys, if you're new to my channel, I am an indie YouTuber, so I'm pretty small and every single subscription really matters. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, give me a good old subaroonie, I would really appreciate it. But let's get right into this Tears of the Kingdom theory video and talk about time travel. If you want to discuss any of these theories about time travel, weather mechanics, items, I do have a Discord. I have a growing community over there. The link is down in the description. Even if you have an idea for an upcoming video, I would love to hear it. But let's talk about time travel. Time travel is pretty popular right now in media. I know there's time travel in a bunch of movies and video games and comics. I mean, we just wrapped up one of the biggest cinematic universes of all time, and time travel was one of the main gimmicks of the movie. No, I'm talking about Hot Tub Time Machine.
It must be some kind of hot tub time machine.
But Avengers Endgame was pretty cool too. Love that movie. Love both those movies actually. But when it comes to Zelda, things get a little bit different because this is actually a video game where the player has to actually control the time travel. We've seen in the Tears of the Kingdom trailer that there is definitely going to be some sort of time manipulation. I mean, that's confirmed. We've seen Link kind of push that metal boulder back up the cliff, and we've seen Link kind of reverse time, jump on that stone, that rock, and ride it up to the sky like an elevator. So we know one of the items, one of the new kind of abilities that are different from the Sheikah Slate is going to be some sort of time manipulation mechanic. But how much deeper does this go? Let's talk about some other things that we know. We've seen two Links. Well, we think they're two Links. We've seen the hero of time, who's draped in a green robe and has longer hair that's down and blowing in the wind, and boy does he look good. And we've seen the traditional Link from Breath of the Wild, maybe with some new gear on, but looks very, very familiar. So the first thing we need to break down is, are these two separate Links? Are they the same Link, but could it possibly be just in different clothes? Are they two different Links from two different times, or playing in two different time periods? I'm going with a theory that yes, we're going to be playing in two separate timelines, or parts in time. We're going to be playing as the current Link that we know now, and we're going to be playing as Link from maybe 100, but probably 1,000 years ago. Just imagine this. After the events of Breath of the Wild, somehow Ganon is resurrected to his full power. He gains control of all his malice, he gets control of all the enemies, and he actually just wipes out Hyrule. He makes the mountains erupt, the volcanoes erupt with malice. He sends Hyrule Castle into the sky surrounded by malice. He creates these superstorms that are wiping out huge parts of the map. He takes Zora's domain and splits it in half. And really, on the end of the day, Link has lost. Zelda has lost. Zelda might even be killed in this huge battle after Ganon is resurrected. But Link has no choice but to somehow go back in time to prevent these events. Maybe he joins up with that entity that we've seen on the wall paintings in the newest teaser. Maybe he finds out some new way to go back in time. But he has to go back in time to prevent Ganon maybe from doing any of this. Or maybe he has to interact with a much weaker Ganon and kind of persuade him not to become such a bad guy. I mean, that's unlikely. Ganon's gonna be a bad guy regardless, but what I'm saying is Link might need to go back in time to prevent these events from ever happening, and that might be a super fun gameplay loop. Just like how in Avengers Endgame, the Avengers have to come together, go back in time to get all the Infinity Stones before Thanos even has the chance, I could see something similar happening in Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe he goes back in time and he takes the form of another Link entirely, the hero of time. And in this Hyrule, things are much different. There's islands floating in the sky, there might be new dungeons all over the place, and Link is actually going to have to manipulate things in the past to affect the future. And just imagine if this game is dynamic. So if things you actually do in the past affect the future. Let's say there's a dungeon and you can only complete half of it in the current Breath of the Wild Hyrule. But when you go back in time, a lot of that dungeon opens up. Maybe throughout the last 1,000 years, half of the dungeon was destroyed or crushed, or a huge river wiped it out, but when you go back in time, it's still there and still available. And also, you're going to have the ability, through certain items on your wrist, to kind of move things around or make things go back in time. So maybe half the dungeon is going to be in the past, half the dungeon will have to be completed in the future, and possibly not at the same time. Just imagine there's 7 dungeons, and most of them, you can only complete halfway through the game. But then you have to go back in time to complete the other half of the game. So these can make the dungeons almost twice as long as normal. Just imagine you spend an hour in a dungeon, you defeat the boss, you get some item, you get another heart piece, but the dungeon's only halfway complete. You have to go back in time or even forward in time to complete the second half. This is just something so creative and so new, and this is something that the development team would need years and years to actually figure out all the kinks and make sure it runs smoothly. So that makes sense why the development of this game has been taking so long. I mean, 6 years for any game is a long development time, and considering this is using the same engine as Breath of the Wild, you really gotta consider what have the Nintendo developers been working on. If this is just the same Hyrule that we've seen last time, but with some new floating islands above, new weapons, new items, and a cave system, 6 years does seem like a long time. But if we're adding time travel, if we're adding a dynamic world where things that you do in the past affect the future, that is pretty freaking complex. And that is something I could see years and years of development being very appropriate for. I mean, Nintendo wants this game to be amazing and maybe even the best Zelda game ever. And, adding time travel could really do that, and making a dynamic world that changes by the decisions you make in the past. I mean, this game could be something really special and maybe, just possibly, outdo the masterpiece that was Breath of the Wild. Okay. I know I rambled a lot in this video, more than most, but I'm really excited about the idea of time travel. I mean, we've seen so little about this game, but there's already so many possible theories. What I really want to know is, what do you guys think? Do you think time travel is going to be the main gimmick, the main mechanic of Tears of the Kingdom? Do you think I'm way off and I'm just talking out of my ass, and, these 2 different Links, the one with the long hair and the green tunic, they're just different outfits? Let me know down in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. I get back to every single one of my comments. I love talking about Tears of the Kingdom theories. So guys, if you're new to my channel, like I said earlier, I am an indie YouTuber, so every single sub really matters, and definitely think about hitting that like button so next time I go live with content, you get it right away. Guys, as always, thanks again for watching this video. I'm Turbo Jesse. I'll see you on the flip side.